I cannot imagine Mike Aresco is going to sit back and just be like, I guess we're just going to wait for things to happen. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football, back at it again. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on college football, pro football, Madden, just anything related to American football, hit the red subscribe button right now. Quest for 1,000. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. Let's get into it right now. All right, guys, so here we are, and again, it is in February, so there's not a lot of football news to go around. If you go to ESPN.com, that's what I usually check, ESPN.com, see what's going on. It's pretty dead. However, you go on Twitter right now, there's a plenty of Big 12 fans that are letting, Pac-12 fans, oh my God, we're going to be able to take that school, all that kind of stuff, whatever. I think that there is a story that came out yesterday for you guys, that connects a little bit to that, because it's the League of Constant Change, aka the American Conference. The American is in a unique situation. It is the American and the Mountain West are kind of down there a little bit. I know the Mountain West had a terrible year last year, but in general, those two conferences are pretty strong in terms of the group of five, whereas the SEC and the Big Ten are the stronger ones of the Power Five. But with that, it's just so, the American they absolutely shock me. Not only it's a Power 5 conference, no, it's a Power 6 conference. I mean, UCF, who is leaving, going to the Big 12, they declared themselves national champions when they went undefeated one year. It's a very unique conference. Mike Aresco, love what he does. In fact, I want to get into that article really quickly here, because we got to talk about kind of what they're doing, because first of all, they lost a couple teams to the Big 12, added a bunch of other teams, and then they're also potentially going to be losing another team, and then there's realignment with that, and there's lots of things to talk about. Let's go right now. ESPN.com, new look AAC releases 2023 football slate with 6 new schools. Now, keep in mind with this, we're going to go over the schedule, because the schedule includes the AAC. I will say this has been many years in the, a long time coming for a lot of these games, because for some reason colleges take forever to schedule games. But there's some big time home games for AAC schools. Let's see what's going on here. Irving, Texas, the American Athletic Conference on Tuesday released its 2023 football schedule that includes the league's 6 incoming teams. Each of the 14 AAC teams will play 8 conference games in a single division format. The top 2 teams in the standings will play in the conference championship game on December 2nd. Charlotte, FAU, North Texas, Rice, UAB, and UT San Antonio all join the conference on July 1. And again, their move comes over from Conference USA. Conference USA was in a real bad situation. They eventually found a way to make it work with the schools that they added. But the move from Conference USA will be completed at the same time that current AAC members Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF depart for the Big 12 Conference. Remember here, we had talked about this before. Mike Aresco had a particular strategy here. Charlotte, FAU, Miami, North Texas, Dallas, Rice, Houston, UAB, Birmingham, UT San Antonio. And again, I know that you'll be able to get how they don't actually command those markets. I'm just letting you know right now, that was the thought process they had there. Mike Aresco's going that route. And again, the same route was by Kevin Warren at the Big Ten. I know it's 2 different levels in that, but that's the concept going forward. You're taking a chance on big market teams. Hopefully they can grow into those sorts of roles. Reigning AAC champ Tulane, keep that in mind, opens the season with 4 of its first 5 games at home. It opens at home on September 2nd against South Alabama, and then hosts SEC conference team Mississippi the next week. Green Wave did really, really good. Obviously had that win against South USC. Navy, also among the 8 remaining AAC football schools, will open its season on August 26th against Notre Dame in Dublin. Among the other highlighted non-conference games, and we're going to get into this because some of these are absolutely ridiculous. Let's see this really quickly here. Over here and check this out. So again, if you see this right here, if it's not gray, it is, or if it's white, it's at home. If it's gray, it's on the road. There's some pretty considerable games. Obviously, you see UAB visits Georgia, Charlotte visits, Florida. There's some big schools like that. However, think about this right here. Tulsa hosts Oklahoma. I mean, for SMU visits Oklahoma, but Tulsa hosts Oklahoma. That's pretty crazy. Tulane hosts Ole Miss. That's pretty crazy. Temple hosts Miami. I mean, there's some big games. North Texas hosts Cal, and this one is absolutely nuts. The South Florida Bulls, they host the Alabama Crimson Tide. It is a very, very realistic opportunity or chance that many of the players in Alabama will be drafted and playing at that stadium, Raymond James Stadium, where South Florida plays the next season. It is absolutely shocking. There's a lot of high quality teams visiting AAC schools. It's actually pretty crazy. So you see that situation. They add all those new schools in, and again, it's one of those weird situations where most of those schools, for the most part, I mean, you think about that. Rice comes in, Houston leaves, right? They have the Governor's Cup, that whole situation there. Central Florida, South Florida, they're no longer rivals. However, FAU comes in, so now it's Tampa versus Miami. There's a couple of new rivalries that could potentially develop out there. However, I think it's very interesting here because one school was listed as a possibility of going to the Pac-12, and I want to look at the ramifications of that because there's a lot of things to ask because Mike Aresco's not sit around and be, oh, I guess we only have 13 teams. Mike Aresco's pretty aggressive. Let's see what that team is leaving, and then we'll go into kind of his thought process where he would go from there. Remember here, San Diego State and SMU rumored to be going to the Pac-12. And again, SMU in Dallas, San Diego State in San Diego gives a presence in Southern California, also adds a new time zone for the Pac-12. Again, they're talking to Apple and this and that. I know there's a whole bunch going on there. I don't want to touch that. I do know that if SMU leaves, Americans at 13, I can't imagine they would stay at 13. Now, this is an old school map. I obviously got rid of the Pac-12, the AAC, all the big conference teams and everything like that. Now, the dark blue is the American teams. Now, this one up here, this one is, what is it? This is Connecticut. They're actually not, and they're actually independent. But for the most part, that's what's going to happen here. I mean, you see some of these white teams. This is North Texas right here. They're coming over. Rice is coming over as well. UAB's coming over. Charlotte's coming over. FAU's coming over. UT San Antonio is coming over. So a lot of these white dots are also coming over. I was looking at this and seeing what their strategy could be. There's a couple of things that come to mind. I mean, so we have, I know this sounds crazy. Liberty just got invited to Conference USA, but remember there, what was it? I think Temple was a Baptist school. Tulsa was a Presbyterian school. There's a couple of schools out there. SMU's a Methodist school. And again, I'll have to confirm on that. But for the most part, you can tell that a Liberty, a religious institution coming in wouldn't be a big situation. Whether or not it's a big enough market, probably not. I do know they've got tons and tons of alumni because of their online presence. So that could be something they would kind of address there. Another team to consider, it's not a 100% perfect fit, but again, if the money's right, the money is right. Remember here, there are 3 AAU institutions that are not in the Power 5 conferences right now that have football teams, okay? Rice, which is coming in, okay? Tulane, which is already in the American, and then Buffalo, okay? So you think about this up here. So we got over here, we've got Temple, we've got Navy, and then we have Cincinnati. Cincinnati is leaving, but they still have this northeast wing over here. And then Buffalo's, I'm not saying that they're good. I'm just saying this is how conference realignment works. They are an AAU institution. Oh, it doesn't really matter. They don't bring anything. You have never talked to an AD if you don't think that they're seriously considering bringing in a school like that, Tulane, Rice, and then adding in Buffalo, having the 3 non-Power 5 AAU institutions in the conference would be incredibly powerful for them. Also add that New York market. Here's another interesting perspective here. My girl, Gloria Navarez, taking over for Craig Thompson at the Mountain West. Very interesting here. So you see all this stuff kind of out west here. We also have to remember here that Navy is a football-only member, and then we have Wichita State down here who does not have a football program, but again, they're down here in the south part of Kansas. Remember this. Kansas, Oklahoma, they border a state by the name of Colorado. Now, Colorado State, how much access they have to Denver, I don't know. Air Force could be a potential package deal. Would be really interesting if they actually went that direction. At Denver, maybe at Buffalo. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if they got to 16 teams because if somebody's going to pull from a G5, especially, I mean, the thing with the American is in Big Ten country a little bit. ACC country for sure, SEC country for sure, Big 12 country for sure. They can get pulled from kind of all of them. So it's one of those things where you have to kind of insulate yourself. So if they have 14 members, lose SMU down to 13, potentially at Buffalo, maybe look at Liberty. Maybe Air Force and Colorado State. Now remember here, the Patriot League, that's where Army and Navy play the rest of their sports. They play football in the American. Army is actually independent. Navy plays football in the American. But Air Force, it might not be a bad idea. They come over, they play all their sports, they move over, they have a travel partner with Colorado State, access to the Denver market, also access to all of those servicemen in the Air Force. There's a lot of situations there. Remember here, if the Mountain West loses San Diego State, they're down to 11, The American is going to go down to 13. If they take 2 away, the Mountain West might be at 9. That's a very real possibility right now. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, what do you guys think, though? I cannot imagine Mike Aresco is going to sit back and just be like, I guess we're just going to wait for things to happen. If they lose SMU, he's going to go on the offensive, okay? Going to go from 14 down to 13. Like I said, I mentioned Liberty before, a religious institution, but I think they can find their way around that. They have other religious institutions before. We talk about Buffalo. I know people say, oh, they don't add anything. Khalil Mack was one guy. Yeah, but at the same time, AAU institution, that totally matters. And then I'm telling you right now, Colorado State, Air Force, come over. Access to the Denver market. It's what he's done before. Charlotte, UAB, those big market teams that he added in there. Again, not necessarily big. They're smaller schools in bigger markets. Colorado State, Air Force, I'm just saying. Guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff. I really appreciate it. That's it for me, guys. I am out.